Marbury v. Madison, 1803. The Supreme Court of the United States. Court. This case was decided by the Supreme Court of the United States in 1803. Issue. The general issue in this case was whether Marbury was entitled to mandamus from the Supreme Court of the United States. More specifically, A. Did he have a right to the commission in question? B. Did he have a legal remedy under the law? C. Was asking for the Supreme Court of the United States to write a mandamus the appropriate legal remedy? Facts. The facts, history, and analysis of this case are as follows. Then outgoing President John Adams wanted to secure Federalist control of the judiciary by creating new judgeships and filling them with Federalist appointees before the new president, Thomas Jefferson, officially took office. Adams wanted to stymie the incoming Democratic-Republican Congress and presidential administration. So, he proposed several appointments, midnight judges, one of whom was William Marbury. These appointments were quickly all approved en masse by the Senate and signed by Adams. Commissions officializing the appointments then had to be hand-delivered to every appointee, which task fell to John Marshall, the acting Secretary of State. However, Marbury did not receive his commission before Jefferson was officially sworn in as president. Also, within that time, Marshall was appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States, and James Madison became the new Secretary of State. Marshall had assumed that Madison would see to the delivery of all undelivered commissions. But Jefferson, now president, ordered Madison not to deliver the remaining commissions on the grounds that they were now void for not being timely delivered. And Marbury, still wanting his appointment, responded by petitioning for a writ of mandamus from the Supreme Court to compel Madison to deliver the commission. The overall issue before the court, then, was whether Marbury was entitled to the writ of mandamus. More specifically, though, Marshall addressed three questions. First, did the plaintiff have a right to the commission? Second, if so, and if this right had been violated by the defendant, did the law provide the plaintiff with a remedy? Third, and most importantly, if a remedy was indeed available, was it a writ of mandamus from the U.S. Supreme Court? Chief Justice Marshall's conclusion is famously nuanced. The court decided that the appointment was valid, as it was signed by Adams while he was still president and sealed by Marshall as Secretary of State. This signing and sealing completed the appointment, so the plaintiff had a right to the commission. Accordingly, the court said, having this legal title to the office, Marbury has a consequent right to the commission, a refusal to deliver which is a plain violation of that right, for which the laws of his country afford him a remedy. However, the favorable declarations for the Marbury stopped there. The court ruled that it had no power to grant the Marbury the requested writ of mandamus, because the relevant provision of the Judiciary Act of 1801, which was integral to this case, was unconstitutional. Marshall said that Section 13 of that act was inconsistent with Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution, which states that the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction in all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, and that in all the other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction. Therefore, the case was dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. However, Chief Justice Marshall simultaneously affirmed that judicial review was a power given to the court by the Constitution. What to remember? Although the case was dismissed for lack of jurisdiction, the Supreme Court affirmed that judicial review was a power given to the court, and ultimately decided these issues without actually deciding.